So you've left the club. It's about 10:30 p.m.
Wicked mad viruses on AIs.
You've got
All right,
about
gentlemen.
4 days and a few hours until the van leaves to come into London.
Okay, so gents, do we have a place that we all want to shack up, like a safe house, where we'll all be in the same location where we can hit this thing full bore, so we're not constantly doing pickups or whatever? Like, just hole up together, cuddle for warmth, and then come up with a plan here?
I'm sure Mr. Moneybags over there has got somewhere we can all hide out.
Yeah, I've got
Yeah.
a place in the south. We'll be fine.
Help us out, Uncle Pennybags. All right, so we all want to go there. Is everybody agreed?
Sure.
Yep.
But
All right,
before
so
we
we head to the
go,
south.
we should go swing by our places and pick up our gear.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, if we just drive around and sort of grab at least a modicum of his stash from his place before.
Does Pseudo get
meeting
noticeably
back up.
happier as soon as the net suddenly becomes available to him again?
No,
Like,
just
does that tick the endorphins
just less
to go
alone.
in? No.
Is it like
That's
having water in your ears, or like what is that like when it finally like comes out and you're just like, oh, thank Christ, it's gone.
Pretty similar to that, except maybe even more annoying for Pseudo. Like it's like having a constant sort of friend in the back of your mind, effectively. Just like imagine
And then it
being
went
able to
away.
Google anything quite easily from your phone, and then suddenly having no internet. But then times it by like 100 because the Google is in his brain. It's something that he can just pick up, he can use, he can
His
read
Google
it.
umbilical cord was cut.
That is
Rather
the
than
worst thing
separate
when you-
Google.
Like when you sit down on the
Indeed.
toilet and your phone's like no signal, you're just like, ah, what am I
He
supposed
tried
to do
Googling
now?
why Google wasn't working, and it just made him sad.
It's like
It
half
was
the
Bing.
experience.
No, Pseudo has standards. Right, so yeah, I'll just pick up. For the sake of the run, Pseudo's going to pick up pretty much all of his gear. He travels light, so all of his gear is not actually that much.
Yeah, I'm gonna shove my EBR in the back of the van and my my heavy pistol.
Did Caber manage to find out? I know he asked like what type of opposition there would be, but did he ever find out what might draw too much attention or anything along that lines?
In regards
As well
to...
as Lone Star, so
Yeah.
we want to hit them hard and fast.
All right.
We don't want to give them a chance to call reinforcements because otherwise we're just going to get royally shafted.
Bring the rail gun.
Yeah. We want to knock them out as fast as possible. We need Pseudo just knocking out all the comms. We just do not want them calling reinforcements because Lone Star reinforcements are just not a joke.
I'll drive fast. I got my part of the plan down.
Yes, but we don't want to blow up the van.
No blowing
Blow
up the van. Okay.
kills the guy. We
So
need
only-
the guy to get the money.
It's only
Yeah.
one grenade launcher.
While these three meatbags are just chatting away amongst themselves, Pseudo dismisses both of his machine sprites and summons up Grok, his data sprite.
Okay, what's Croc like in terms of personality?
Grok is, if you think of the sort of avatar at the end of the Matrix movies, only without a human face. It's just like a pulsating avatar. The embodiment of wisdom, as far as Pseudo can imagine it from a Matrix perspective.
Okay.
To Grok
Yes.
is to understand.
How can I help?
I want you to run a Matrix search on Valentine Kozlov.
Very well. Goes off into the Matrix. It will come back sometime later.
Okay.
Going to be pulling a lot of data if it's just looking for everything related to one name, so it will be gone for a little while.
Yes.
Are we in the south already right now, or are we like driving around
So
getting
where are you
everybody's
headed
gear?
for?
I think we're going to do a full round of London and get everybody's gear, and then we're going to go down to the south to be at Pug's place that's out in Orbital or whatever.
Okay, so I'm just going to switch to map view for people on stream so they can see vaguely what we're talking about. There we go. So vaguely, Pug has a little secondary house down here because Pug is loaded. So just south of London. And that's where everyone's going to meet up. So yeah, it takes you a few hours, but you do manage to get out there. Traffic being this time of night is pretty low, but also certain roads are closed during this point of the night. You do manage to get there about an hour or two later. Picked up everybody's gear, and as far as I understand, you've picked up literally everything they own.
Yeah, we're going to the safe house. We want to make sure we got like everything to work with. We gotta have our toolkit.
You've all got like a couple of changes of clothes, etc., toothbrush, toothpaste.
Yeah, sure. Oral hygiene's important.
Indeed. Don't neglect your gums, dude.
Yeah, get a floss, get in there.
Yeah.
Steejo.
What?
You were zoned out looking out. We're talking about flossing.
Yeah, I smiled.
Oh. My
Showing
cameras
us
are
his
little.
pearly whites.
Okay. So, by the time you get down there, Pseudo, can you make a matrix search for your grok? This will be an extended test.
Indeed
Once
I
every
can.
hour, you will make the same roll, -1 dice, -1 dice, -1 dice, until you run out of die. And then, effectively, the net hits is how much data you will have.
Righty ho. Right. Matrix search for a data sprite is, let's see, computer plus intuition, which is data processing. Let me just bring up the crack sprites stats.
That's correct, audience. He has a crack sprite.
Yes, I do.
I've got a
He's
crack
kinda
pipe,
shaky.
he's got a crack sprite.
He's not super reliable. $20 will disappear really fast around him.
So mean. Actually, it's not a crack sprite. It's a data sprite that we're looking for here. But right, so that's 11 plus. All right. Oh.
1, 2...
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
10
Its
of 18.
limit is data processing, I believe, is the
Yep.
limit on this.
Yeah.
In which case, his limit is 11.
Okay, so he does get 10 hits.
Yeah.
He immediately starts sending
He
you
knows
back
everything.
quite a lot of data. Now, bear in mind, you can make this roll every hour, losing 1 die until you feel you've got enough data off the matrix. What it says is effectively that it's found some vague social media posts dating back at least, 12 years. They do get noticeably less after... No, actually, that's fine. 12 years isn't before the second crash. These posts are a little bit sporadic here and there. And it does give you, some background about some guy living in Russia called Valentin Koslov. Gives you a few vague pictures. You now have a face for this guy. He looks a bit like a bit of a heavy-set Russian. He's got some tattoos and stuff. You can see vaguely in one of the pictures of him at some beach somewhere. God knows where. It's certainly not a beach in Russia, from what you can tell. There are other bits here and there, like, there's him on some sort of dating site, him on some sort of work site, whatever, sort of, saying, oh, I've got a background in logistics handling and foreign investment, a lot of just general background you would find in someone's life. It does seem to be fairly sporadic here and there. There's no seemingly central chain to it.
Could you describe the tattoos again?
Sure, they're vaguely somewhat almost tribal. One going down sort of the side of his jaw, down his neckline, over his chest, and both of his arms are slightly tattooed, and there's some writing or whatever. Do you speak Russian?
No.
Over his knuckles. It seems to be in acrylic language from what you can tell.
Okay.
Acrylic.
He passes all this information on to Kaber. He pretty much just filters it and passes the relevant information on. He doesn't pass everything. He makes sure to, given knowing that Kaber has an eidetic memory, to find all of the less wholesome dating site pictures of the fellow, and he definitely passes those on, knowing what is seen will not be unseen.
Can I cast a spell?
Sure.
This
you're
guy.
currently driving down the road towards Pug's house. You were nearly there.
I ain't driving. So, well, it depends how long it'd take me to
Who
go
is
through this
riding
data that he's
shotgun
given me.
up front with blowback?
What's happened?
What was that?
I'm sorry.
Who is riding like shotgun with blowback at the front?
Do I make that call or do they make that call? Because I'm just like, I'm driving.
Well, you're the driver, so unless,
Nobody wants to ride in the front. You guys want to get chauffeured?
it probably
Man.
won't be a troll. Bear in mind that you need to like specially tailor the seat to a troll. Trolls do weigh like 400 kilos, so.
So who's riding with me? I'm still
Fine.
confused on this
Pseudo's
part.
in the front, but he's
Yeah.
obviously not looking at anything.
So
He's
Caver
in
and
his
Pug
house
in the
down
back,
there.
eyeing each other up.
Suspicious as hell.
At least I'm not lonely anymore. I
Okay.
stay in the back.
Okay, so Caver, you wanted to cast a spell.
Yes, I wanted to cast. Well, how long would it take me to get through the content of the data burst that Avak just sent me?
I imagine that Pseudo carefully pared it down to the sort of the niche stuff and put file folders and headers and stuff so that you can look for it at your leisure or quickly speed read it. I mean, you're a speed reader anyway, so it doesn't take you long even to go through quite a lot of data.
Right,
so.
well, I'm gonna cast translate to see if I can understand what any of the tattoos say, to see if there's any gang affiliations or anything like that.
Do you have Russian or gangs?
It's a spell, translate.
Oh, translate. Oh, hell yeah. Okay, cast it.
2 seconds. Let me have a look at this. 2 seconds.
Okay.
I think it might have to be a. Yep, never mind. Never mind. It's for people. It's a speech thing. I can't do it. I can't just translate something that's that I'm reading.
Okay.
Do you want to communicate that to Pseudo?
Communicate what?
The fact that you were thinking about using a translate thing, but you can't.
Sure. Yes. I will communicate to the pseudo that. It's a shame that I can't use my translate spell.
Okay, so now that Pseudo has a very vague idea of why you can't use your translate spell, I imagine it is such a ridiculously simple task at this point for Pseudo to just do a bloody Google image search on the word, get the actual text to speech, and get Caber's comlink to pronounce the word for him. It is almost ridiculous.
It's a spell that creates a. I'll just read it out to you. Creates a low-level telepathic connection between a subject and a specific target.
Right. Okay.
So it literally needs to be someone I'm talking to.
You to an extent, the problem is because of the way that the writing is a tattoo, whatever, you'd have to try and interpret exactly what the symbol is. You don't have to compare it to the actual alphabet, and then you'd have to try and search that. And probably the best way of doing that is actually just to buy a low-level translating package. They're fairly cheap, especially at low level. You could try and do it cheaply on the internet. Results might vary, but you can get a cheapy translating thing if you want to read it.
Pseudo isn't particularly that interested.
Yeah.
Okay, so, Mr. Moneybags, are we at your house yet?
Man, I hope so. You ain't getting lost up there, are you?
Blowback pulls in out front of your little, effectively cottage-type place. It's quite nice. It's not terrible. I mean, it's sort of a middle type house for this establishment, but it's fairly outside of the hustle and bustle of London. You haven't been here for a little while. The van looks interesting outside, considering most of the other vehicles in the neighborhood are somewhat bland, and this van painted with sort of this big orange flower and some sort of swirling stripes along the side and saying "Misery Machine" pulls in. It's fairly distinctive.
Yeah.
This was a terrible mistake.
No, see,
it seems so funny in theory.
I'm gonna hop out. I'm gonna open the door and I'm gonna press the garage door, and you pull that thing inside so we can load it up, out of sight, out of mind.
All right, man.
Sure. In this neighborhood, you probably wouldn't have a garage. You could probably park it somewhere in the neighborhood out of sight. Garages would normally cost extra in terms of living allowance. Or if you had a high lifestyle, you'd definitely have one. But this neighborhood, you certainly could park it somewhere out of sight, or you could, possibly chuck a tarpaulin over it or something, or push it deep into the driveway. Just hope no one noticed it.
Can we get it into the backyard? Does he have a backyard? Is this like normal residential housing where like there's a house, backyard, house, their backyard?
Yeah, that's effectively what it is.
Okay. You want to pull it around the back then, Pug? I mean, we can put it in the backyard. Maybe the fence will give us a little bit of cover or something.
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
Okay. Just for the sake of it, make a vehicle handling check. So that'll be
Oh man.
reaction plus vehicle skill.
Outrigger smashes up your backyard fence. That's going to be so funny.
Maybe better than smashing the house.
Watch him critical glitch.
Oh no.
Smash the neighbor's house.
One success.
Good lord.
You're fine. I mean, there is this moment where you're backing up, and then Pug goes, no, and you kind of you come to rest, and this garden gnome is like at a 45-degree angle against your bumper, but you're fine.
Oh, but he's a gnome. Nobody likes them anyway. Just mush them. They're like
It's a little troll gnome.
default lame versions of.
Is it like
Little troll.
is it an actual gnome?
It's like
that
you
he
went to
pays?
click dwarf and you fucked up and you hit gnome. That's the only way you get a gnome. Is there's like you misclicked or something.
It's Pug knows it. His parents bought it for him when he left. Just put in the little garden. It's just this little like troll gnome. They thought it was amusing, but really it's kind of just
It
a
was my
cheap
only
knockoff.
friend as a child.
And it still is.
You haven't smashed it yet, so yeah, you're there. Suda, you want to make another roll with -1 for the
Yep.
grog, which is doing a great job of just finding all the information on its name possible.
Grok.
In the meantime, I'm gonna ask Pseudo to go over the van
5
and
hits.
check it for devices or
5 hits.
anything, just in case they tagged us or whatever outside the club while we were indoors. It seemed like they were running some kind of field, and like the whole place seemed kind of shady to me from the way it was set up. And so I just want to make sure that we aren't being monitored or anything like that.
Okay. I'll well, while Grok is doing an extended matrix search test, I'll do an extended matrix perception test on the van. I'll be really thorough about it.
Okay, I'll say that the interval for this is like a minute. So every minute you can roll and then deduct 1 die. Right, so you got 5 more hits. It says 57 because we typed it in wrong, but that's fine. Just so people know, you got 5 more hits in addition to your 10 already. You get back what's effectively the application for a visa from the central Russian bloc, effectively that contains Moscow. Now Russia has broken up into more sub-states, as most places have. In this day and age. And what is it's a visa application to come over for work to the UK for the duration of 3 months, starting from about 2 weeks ago. In addition to that, you do find a few bits more information here and there. You find a couple of bank account details. No bank account that you can seem to reference that you can actually see a figure for seems to have much money in it at all. But they do seem to be sort of low-level bank accounts, a number of different ones with different institutions in different countries, actually. You can find a couple in the UK as well. And a lot of them are referenced on things like application papers and so on, as, collateral that he has, come to this country for work, etc. This is the bank account he uses for work, etc. This is the bank account he's got savings in, etc. Just proof to back up his verified identity.
Okay. Well, I'm passing all of that along to Kaber as well. Most of that information was quite useful, so that'll definitely be going into the portfolio.
Okay.
And I'll roll my matrix perception +2 for being a technomancer. I've no longer got any minuses, I assume.
No.
I mean, it depends. Is this place particularly noisy because it's so far away or anything like that?
Not really. Not that you need to really bother about.
Okay.
There's still enough devices around here that you get a pretty decent matrix signal.
Perception. Dum-dum-dum-dum. Two successes.
You do not find anything out of the ordinary.
Okay. Now that we're here, I'd like to declare an extended test, I guess. I'm going to go through and I'm going to tune up the van, and it's probably at your discretion how that'll affect things, but I want to go through and just kind of make sure everything's cool. Basically go through systems one by one, make sure that, like, my end of the bargain, because that's my job. I just want to make sure the van doesn't have any weird holdups or need the oil changed or have to like throw a rotor or any like random shit once we get on the job.
Okay, sure. So that
Seeing
would
him
be a
doing
logic
that-
plus
Seeing him doing
mechanic.
that, Pseudo would summon Bit and tell it to run diagnostics on the van just to help him while he's repairing it and tuning it up, whatever he's doing.
Okay, so roll the diagnostics, and then Splatter, when you roll, you will add the diagnostics hits to your roll.
Okay.
So add 4 die. So you'll need to do a logic plus mechanic test. It'll be mechanic ground vehicle or whatever. And then you get +4 to that. Now, do you
Okay.
have any facilities here for checking vans over? No, because it is just some random house. So you don't really have the ability to do a lot of the careful inspection, but that'll put you at -4 because you don't have facilities. You're kind of making do whatever you have on hand.
Well, I've got an internal shop in my van.
Oh! It's a mechanic shop, isn't it?
Yeah. It's an
Yeah.
add-on for the van or whatever. They said it can have an internal tool shop or something.
You are at a... you're fine then. No zeros at all.
Okay,
So
cool.
just +4 from the dice.
Also, the diagnostics, because he got 1 hit, means his limit is increased by 1 as well on the tests.
Oh, okay.
So I roll an extra die for every one of his successes?
Yeah, so you get +4 on the test.
Okay. Wow, it is not my day for the dice right now. It is not my
You
day.
check out the van, you give it a bit of a scrub here and there. You even pull off one of the cylinder heads and make sure it's polished up, because a little bit of gunk has managed to get in there. You start doing basically a once-over. You can keep doing this extended test if you want. For instance, since it's not really a timed jobby, I'll just say roll that again times the number of die by 5, and we'll say that if you spend, all a night, that's the number of hits you'd get, just for quick and simple and dirty.
So I go 13 times 5 and we'll just keep those hits?
Yeah.
Okay, so we got 65.
Just because
As-
it'll save having to
as a
roll
Scottish
it
person-
12, 11, 10, 9, yep.
Saying a timed jobby is just hilarious.
I wasn't going to say anything.
Yay!
Okay, yeah, you go over it, you give it a bit of a tune-up, you swap one of the tires for the spare, not because it's flat, just because the tread's a little bit better on the old one.
Okay.
Sort of give it a once-over, make sure it's cleaned out. Everything seems pretty good. It hasn't really taken much damage. You notice that there's a slight ding in one of the doors where someone may have bumped you previously, but nothing really. You give
Didn't
that a
even
little bit
know.
of a small hammer, and comes out pretty fine. You can touch up some of the paint.
Gotta be looking clean.
Yeah,
With a little paintbrush.
yeah.
Gotta look good while we run this job. Gotta look good.
Those of you
Use a little
watching,
paintbrush to cover the full thing in black.
if you've ever seen
Gotta be
Scooby-Doo,
some happy little trees on that.
if you've ever seen
Just saying,
Scooby-Doo,
there are no happy little trees.
Blowback's van looks like the van from Scooby-Doo. Instead of Mystery Machine, it says Misery Machine. So big, bright flowers on a green van with this sort of swirl
Yeah.
and Misery Machine.
Very easy to find by law enforcement. Drives through a neighborhood and everybody knows.
Yep.
It was a team decision. It was a team decision that I got on board with because it was funny at the time.
Should I do
the van
another
should get
matrix
extra karma
perception
for that.
test?
Sure. Yeah. If you want to basically speed this up, times it by 5, and that's, say, we'll call it the net total of hits for the entire night, just for save us rolling a billion times, because with large dice pools it gets more iterative.
Sure.
The alternative is we could just buy hits, but
I'll just, for the sake of this test, I'll put the limit as times 5 as well. Just in case.
yeah. Okay.
24 successes.
24 successes. In the morning, when you're all finished, sleeping, and you get up, you brush your teeth, and all that, all hygiene be very important. It comes back and it gives you a whole treasure trove of data. Most of it is just related to just random things about, Valentin Koslov being picked up in a bar, found that some of his ID was out of order, etc. There's been health questioning, notably that you actually find a leaked Lone Star report that you can buy off a fellow Shadowrunner. The Shadowrunner has done a job against Lone Star more recently and has found some data, and one of the meta tags for that data is Valentin Koslov. The Shadowrunner is just it's spare data they got on the run. They're offering it for 400 Noyen.
Sure. Pseudo, just fork that up.
Sure.
Just
You send
contact
400 Noyan over to...
What's the name of the Shadowrunner?
Deadbolt.
Okay. Right. Yep. Info's been sent over, and money's been sent over.
In which case, you get
There we
through
go.
a whole load of data. It's not just related to Valentin Kozlov. This is most of the Lone Star just spare info dump that they got on basically a lot of people who were
Fantastic.
pulled in recently. But in there, it does say Valentin Kozlov picked up for having some ID out of order by a random scan that just happened to go past a bar that he was at the time. The bar is in the southern part of London. And he was then taken out of London for questioning, etc., on the presumption that maybe he had some sort of gang involvement and they didn't want to question him near where the gang have turf, just in case. It tends to be standard procedure for the organized crime.
What was the name of the bar?
The bar, it would have been the Thief Jumps Quickly.
Thief jumps quickly, did you say?
Yep.
Okay.
Basically, they pulled him in. After conferring with some of the specialized gang unit, they do have a feeling that he is gang-related. He's been flagged as a probable organized crime member. They are waiting to get back on some of their informants, actually trying to find out more about him. They have suspected he's organized crime involvement, and thus they have flagged him as a special case that he needs to be more securely guarded. And he has to travel with, when he travels outside of a precinct, he must travel with at least one additional escort car.
Okay. Now, I didn't stop you there because, frankly, Grok would have got many more hits than I did if I multiplied its dice by 5.
Yeah.
What I was rolling for initially was my perception test on the van looking for anything untoward.
Oh. Yep, you don't find anything.
Okay. Pseudo is quite convinced that if there was something there to be found with that test, he would have found it. So he Blowback would wake up in the morning and he'd just have a little mail waiting for him saying, yeah, the van's clean. Not a trace.
Yep.
Okay, well, Pseudo would pass along all of the various information relating to Valentin Kozlov to Kaber, along with a message. This is all I could find. This is probably all that we're going to find, shy of stuff that, frankly, I'm not going to do.
Make an intuition. Make an intuition plus logic test.
Me?
Yes, if you could.
Okay. Any bonuses or negatives?
No, just a flat intuition plus logic.
I'll use my mental limit for that one. 3 successes.
Ooh, almost close to a glitch. But you do get 3 successes. You would gather from a lot of the information that you've got that the sin, the name is based off of a fake name, judging by the fact that the stuff only appeared about 12 years ago. And this guy looks to be about 40, 42. You would judge from his biological sort of data. Because it only starts about 12 years ago and sort of peters in terms of the amount of data trail he leaves, and it's not always consistent, you would think this is quite possibly a fake name that's now belonged to anyone. You would notice that it appears, and there's also connections to some other names there that also, when you research them, do look to be possibly other fake names. And you would suggest this is possibly a batch number of fake sins that were generated, and this is one of them. And they have a lot of corroborating data in between, but by compromising one of the sins, you start to weaken the rest because they have a lot of intertwining data and links to be able to back up the others. But as soon as you lose one, they start having less data to back them up.
Okay. All right. Right. Well, now that everyone's rested, Pseudo didn't sleep much.
Yeah, I was up all night tuning the van too, so I don't know how that works.
I got a good.
And then
Probably
good
Pseudo and
problems.
Blowback were just keeping each other company.
Yeah,
Pseudo just
I'd
slowly moving around the
Oh, it's
van.
like that.
Blowback
Tummy
wearing-
rubbing.
Oh wow.
Well, I've got insomnia, so
Wow.
I'd have been kicking with you as well.
Oh yeah, do you have to make a roll for insomnia?
Nope, only if I'm recovering stun damage.
Okay, that's fine. Sweet. So, You've got Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Just
3 days.
While we're kicking about just now, I'd want to ask everyone if they could send me 500 new yen each for paying off Kevin for the shenanigans.
I sent back a message asking if maybe we just add his cut, like once we get our payoff, we take it from that. Because I was thinking about modding the van out a little bit, and I just want to make sure that finances stay good.
Pseudo
All right.
Respond with, I just dumped 400 new yen on getting data. I can pay you back later, but I've got nothing with me right now.
And I'll just let the little elf know that if he wants to find another place to store all his shit while we're prepping for this job, he can go.
Look at Mr. Moneybags. You could pay him off and then, like, out of the cash that you wipe your backside with. It wasn't digital.
That's the best part about being rich is denying those in need, though. Where's the fun in being rich if you're not just going to ignore the cries of the needy?
Oh, man.
What I'd ask.
Okay.
Hope we don't need Kevin.
So you've got 3 days worth of legwork
Are we
to
talking
do.
with anyone else?
What, right
Serious
now?
chat time now. No. I mean, like, Pseudo's like sending messages to them. It's like, well,
Okay.
what are we doing? I've just gotten all of this data. What are we going to do with it? I mean, there's some interesting stuff here, but it's nothing that's going to make our job easier right now. What do you guys think? Well, where can we go with this? I mean, there's definitely clues and leads to be followed here, but has anyone got anyone they can contact?
All of my contacts are with regards to vehicular stuff, so unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to be much help here.
Well, I've only got Kevin, and he doesn't pick up the phone to me. That would be
I don't
able
have
to help
anything
us.
to help with Lone Star.
Fine. Pseudo kind of just sends a message saying that he's just going to be contacting a couple of people, not to be disturbed. And he just finds whatever spare room is available in this quaint little cottage in the suburbs that Mr. Moneybags has got over there, and just goes up there, just starts sorting through the data. It's probably going to take a little time, but in the meanwhile, he sends a ping to one of his contacts, just asking them to get in touch with him when they are available. And he is sending a ping to Lowry Williams.
Okay.
I'm going to use my time to cross-reference the map that he gave us of the route with my London street knowledge or my London knowledge, and just see if anything comes to mind.
Okay. So, Pseudo, Larry Williams does get back to you. She calls you up pretty much like a couple of minutes later. Oh, hello there, Pseudo. How can I help you today? What's going on? How are you doing?
Doing well. It has been too long since we last spoke. Unfortunately, this isn't a social call. I have a lead on some fake sins, and I was wondering if you could have a look at some data for me. Let me know what you know, if any of this has passed through your neck of the woods.
Sure, send it over. I'll have a look at it immediately. I mean, next time
Okay.
you're around, just pay me back by having a bit of a look at the barge. She's not really doing as well as she used to.
Sure, I'll have Bit and Bite check it out. And at that point, he just sends over like a bulk of data, specifically anything relating to the anything he thinks would be relevant to the fact that it's a fake sin. So the fact that it really only starts generating hits about 12 years ago, it's pretty sparse, and then starts speeding up, and everything that from the Lone Star package that really has anything to do with that.
Okay. So she has a quick look at it. You can tell there's a bit of a delay. I'll have to call you back about this. There's quite a lot here.
It's not a problem. Take your time.
Yeah, thanks very much, Pseudo. Hopefully I'll catch up with you soon.
Yeah, sure. And next time, the meal is on me.
Count on it. Boop. Right, so Blowback, you wanted to roll for your London knowledge.
Yeah, I wanted to take a look at the map and just kind of see access routes and things of that nature. Anything that would jump out to somebody who has a pretty solid knowledge of London streets and all that kind of stuff when compared to the map that the troll gave us.
Okay, go for it. You'll need to roll your intuition plus your London knowledge.
Okay.
In theory, we should be doing a bit of legwork for about another 20 minutes, and then we're going to go to a break. So we're going to try and cap the legwork to make sure the thing moves along. We've got 3 successes there. Okay, so if I flip back to show everyone the map. Basically, let me get my freehand drawing tool out. Let's do it in yellow. So the plan is to take the van up this road in, but it's going to have to come along the motorway like that first.
Okay.
Now the plan is once it hits sort of London proper, once it actually properly gets into Orbital South, that there are going to be cars from Lone Star Detachment come out to meet it, and that then they're going to escort it in addition to the normal transport. Along the motorway section and from the initial launch point, which is, you know, a good 30 miles that away, there will actually just be the van and whatever associate cars it has with it. But they're concerned that once it gets to Orbital South, that it will be going through proper London territory, and any organized crime element might try and jack them. So just in case, they're sending out an extra detachment.
How nice is Orbital South?
It's okay. It's not great. I mean, it's effectively a suburb of London, but the suburb is near the south side, which is the dodgy end. So it's
Does
okay.
Lone Star actively patrol there? Like, is this their territory? Do they do all of London, or what do they handle?
The Orbital is a bit of a funny area, because the Orbital is generally given over to a few corps, but it's also very much a public policing area. The main things in the Orbital, because it's not as densely packed, is that anyone who has a mandate for central London can then follow their mandate out into Orbital. So if they're following a criminal, they're allowed to follow out without having to worry about jurisdiction. They can just go straight out and do whatever they want. Effectively, it's common jurisdiction. The patrols themselves generally are Lone Star, though, in the actual Orbital. They're paid the ones to patrol, although they don't need as many patrols as, say, you know, London or whatever. Most of the Orbital is a little bit more deserted than it used to be. The motorway itself, along the edge here, is mostly straight road. Very, very sort of slow bends when there are actual bends along the edge of the ring road. There are a couple of places with bridges overlooking it. There's even one which is just a footbridge along the route. And then it gets into Orbital South, and it becomes a little bit more congested, a little bit slower traffic. But there are a couple of bridges over the top, and there's, in fact, a couple of underpasses as well.
Okay.
You know the area, you know, fairly well. You've driven it before. You've, you know, especially driven around it when you're just trying to get a feel for the area in your van. So you know it to an extent. I mean, you can go and drive it. It doesn't take more than a couple of hours to go out and drive the route again. So if you wish to be able to get a better feeling for it, or if you want to look for a specific point in mind, and just let me know, I can fill you on what you spot.
Yeah, I'm going to drive the route, actually. I'm going to go ahead and drive the route a couple times over the next day or two. I guess I'll do it one time first, and we'll see what we uncover, and I'll make myself feel better by doing it as many times as I think is necessary. But I'll spend my time doing that while other people are doing other stuff. We'll spend a couple hours just driving the route that the car is going to take and see what we notice for opportunities. And
okay. What are you looking for in particular in terms of...
I'm looking for, I guess, bridges, as you mentioned. Those seem interesting. I'm looking for blind turns or anywhere where the road goes in between hills.
Okay.
Or around a hill. Essentially, any blind points, I guess, would just be fine. And then doesn't really matter if it's hill related. Aside from bridges and blind points, I'd also like to find spots where we can park the van where we'll be hidden from view with approaching cars. So not only am I looking for blind spots from the road, but I'm also looking for blind spots to the road, I guess, so that we have a spot where we can jump out onto the road and grab who we need and get out without them knowing the van's there. Things of that nature. Useful little cubbies and things.
Okay. Make a perception check. Now, since you're looking for this while driving, I will say you're like a -1. It's not particularly difficult road to keep track of, but...
Okay. And perception is linked with logic?
Intuition.
Or
And you'll get
intuition.
+3 because you know what you're looking for. So general just +2.
Okay.
So it'll be intuition plus perception +2.
Okay.
4 successes. Okay, you spot along the highway itself a couple of places. Firstly, there's one where a railroad crosses over the top. It has a pretty decent view of the road. The only problem is you would say that there is actually no real connections with the motorway around there. There are a couple of on and off ramps that are maybe 500 meters back from there, but nothing directly near where the rail bridge goes over the top. The upside of the rail bridge is that it isn't often used. It's one of the lesser used routes in and out of London. It's actually fairly derelict. It's mainly because the supporting beams and stuff on these bridges are a little bit decayed and they can't take the weight of trains anymore, so other routes have got precedent. These routes do offer backup in times of peak time and stuff, but 3 a.m. no one's going to be using it. The other one is there is basically a footpath over the top. It's fairly thin. We're talking, about 4 meters wide. And nearby, about 100 meters before that, there is a turning off from the motorway, which is actually used to just access a very short section of road, which just leads to some farmland. The reason being that someone needs to access it, so it's there, but it comes almost straight off the motorway. This actually curves under the motorway, so it is actually hidden from view from the motorway itself. So if you were to park there, no one on the motorway could see you. And then that takes a slow turn around a nearby hill. So you wouldn't be able to see the footpath over the top on the flyover until you're probably about 400 meters away.
Okay. And what about the bridges? Do we have any bridges that the vehicles have to cross?
Not really. There's a couple of small flyover bridges that just cross other roads going out of the city. They're fairly few. They're not very high. And none of them are particularly near any decent off points or any overhangs. I mean, there is one which is sort of an interchange where effectively it's a cloverleaf interchange where the ring road goes straight over and a road comes below it and out. And that is, in fact, I'll highlight on the map for you. There. So that road continues on. Then there is opportunities to meet that road. But as a main road out of the city is a little bit busier, you will expect civilians around the area, even at 3 a.m.
Okay. All right, sounds good to me.
Okay,
I'm going to hold on to the
spend
information right now.
Yeah, you do your Tuesday basically doing that. Scoping the route, driving a few times.
Okay, well, Pseudo gets onto his comlink again, and this time sends out a ping, again, just a message asking one of his contacts to get back in touch when they're available, and this time he is contacting Rebecca Brooks.
Okay. Let me roll for her.
You have my my character sheet up, don't you?
I have a separate one which I've got all your contacts recorded in.
Right. Well, I've just because you asked last time, like you caught me off guard with Fred Alcock asking what race he was.
Yeah.
I filled out that information on the character
okay.
sheet on Roll20, just so you've got more info there.
Okay, so Rebecca Brooks, what, like, mainly because you're going to be talking to her on, you get video as well. What, she's human, isn't she?
She's a human technomancer, yeah.
Okay. All right, she gets back in touch with you pretty fast. Oh, hello, Pseudo. How can I help you today? How are you doing? What's going on?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Not bad. I heard that you had a fun little firefight up near Cargo last week.
That does not surprise me at all that you heard. In fact, I am calling you about something that is not entirely unrelated, but I, in my travels, have come across some data from Lone Star, just a couple of reports. I was wondering if you had any use for it.
Sure, I can certainly take a look. What's it about? What's it regarding?
He just gives her a couple of details of just the general data that he had around the mark, just the odds and sods, because he'd have had time now to to have a glance through. So whatever the reports are on the other people, specifically, he's not passing along data about Valentin Koslov. Just the data around it. He's not potentially trying to obscure it. He's just showing her a glimpse of what it is.
She has a quick look at it and says, I'm afraid I've actually got quite a lot of this data already, and a lot of it is fairly low-level stuff. So I'm not particularly interested in it. Is there anything else?
That's not a problem. I just came across it, so I thought as a favor I'd get in touch, see if you had any use for it.
Thank you very much, Pseudo, but I'm a little bit more targeted with my data these days. Unfortunately, a lot of these low-level people
specific?
are entering the market, and you would love to know.
I would
People
indeed.
pay large amounts to know exactly how specific I get. For instance, I know that your friend Kaber still owes 1.5k.
He's probably going to owe more than that by the end of the week, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
In fact,
Wars and
I'm
drinking.
going to
Wars
make
and
a point
drinking.
of trying to increase the amount that he owes.
Excellent. I've really never liked him that much.
No, you're not alone on that one. Though, it would put me out if he should die. So, if you do happen to hear any pings on the Matrix that anyone has a hit out on him, because it wouldn't surprise me, just saying it would be a courtesy if you gave me enough heads up that I could just avoid being in the same place for a while.
Okay, well, I'll try and let you know if anything comes up.
Okay.
Nice
Nice speaking to you, Rebecca.
Take care, Pseudo. Hopefully see you soon.
Take care.
You then get a data burst from Larry Williams. What's her connection? It's 5. Oh, it's 3. Her loyalty's 5. Okay. Okay. Basically, it's text only with a load of attached data, and it goes on a little bit about the exact intricacies of the forging, which a little bit escape you. You've got hold of some of the grasps, but what you gather is that the sins themselves were manufactured by the White Vori faction in Russia. Now, you would know that the White Vori, there's basically 2 different types of Russian mafia. There's the Red Vori and there's the White Vori. The Red Vori are basically the more international, but they kind of got pushed out of the homeland. And the White Vori are the more Moscow-based group. You would know that the Red Vori, for instance, actually, if they had to pick any international city as their hotspot, it would be London. The White Vori still do operate in London because, you know, it's near Moscow, and actually took over from a lot of the Algerian gangs who imploded, but they don't have quite so much the influence as the Red Vori do.
Okay. Okay, right. I'll send back a message thanking her for looking into that and getting back to me as quickly as she did, and asking, you know, if there's any charge.
She just quickly sends back a message saying no, but mentioning that she's just got a job offer through and she's going to be a little bit busy for the next few days. If there is anything like urgent, ping her, but otherwise she might be out of town for a little while. She doesn't say out of town, she says AFK.
Yeah. Pseudo acknowledges it and signs her off with a flourish, and then immediately passes along the information that he's got to Kaber. And at this point, leaves the room. He's finished making all of his various calls and sorting through the data. He goes and joins the rest of the group. First, he actually goes and looks for Pug, because he hasn't heard him for a while, and something that big not making noise is a cause for concern.
Mm-hmm.
Pug's been asleep, man. I don't know what you guys are doing. Calling contacts and working on the van. It's up to you guys, man.
Call him when there's some punching. That's his favorite part.
Or kneeing people in the groin.
Okay. Yeah, he likes doing that too.
Half a man half.
Right, okay, well, Suda goes and finds Kaber and or Blowback, depending on where they are. And what have you guys turned up?
I'll let Kaber start.
Nothing.
Well, it was a short start, but it was a start. I spent some time the last couple of days driving the routes. I tuned up the van, and then I drove the route that their van's going to be taking. And it's come to my attention there's a couple different points that we can make this work from, and we're going to have to make a call here. By the way, is Pug in the room with us?
Sure.
All right. So first, I wanted to talk to you guys about the route, and then after that, we'll decide how we want to approach this, because we can go in loud and nasty, or we can try and do this a little bit more subtly. So there's two spots where I think that we could possibly jack the vehicle itself. So I'm going to leave out resistance for right now. Let's just assume there are no guards and we're just looking at the van, and then we'll figure out a way to deal with the guards next. If the van was just driving by itself, we've got a place where a railroad crosses the road. It gives us a good view. We'd be able to pull the van back behind the opposite berm where it starts to lift up. And it's secluded. There's not a whole lot going right there. That would be great for Overwatch or anything else that we needed to handle. It would give us a bird's eye view of the situation taking place for any of their plans we put in motion. I didn't see anything wrong with it. I don't think we should knock the railroad bridge over or anything like that to block the road, but I think we could definitely, if we were looking for visibility, that would be the spot. Alternatively,
Are there any
there's
lights around there?
Do I know that, Elysium?
Railroad tracks generally aren't particularly well lit. It's assumed that the train will have some lights, and they've got reasonably good night vision cameras stapled to the front these days just to be able to see. They don't have to keep lighting the railroad tracks all the time, particularly if stopped lighting them just to save a little bit of cash. It's a motorway down there, so there won't be any traffic lights. If you want to go to the traffic light bits, you'll be talking when you actually get into Orbital South proper. It's effectively a 4-lane road as opposed to a 6-lane road there, to both ways. There are traffic lights there. There are a few roundabouts. There's more stop and start. However, that will be after the follow cars from London have met up with them.
Okay. And then the secondary location, not so good for visibility, but good for an ambush for that reason. Essentially, we've got ourselves a road with a hill. There's a slight turn off onto an abandoned road that just leads out to like some empty farmland. Be great for camping out. If we wanted to set a trap, we could do it. There would be no spot we could be seen from. So with the previous location, we would have visibility, but we could also be seen if things go wrong. With the second spot, we have no visibility, so we would have to hope that whatever plan we put in motion happens with us not having eyes on it, and then we would then have to flip out and react to it, collect the guy, and get out of there. And so those are your two options. We either have lots of visibility, which can work for us or against us, or we can have no visibility, which once again could work in either way. On top of that, I've got loads of C4 here. I've got lots of explosives. I can get to work working on deadly stuff like IEDs to knock out the vans or to create booby traps. Or B, we could work with something a little bit more sophisticated. We could use tire spikes to knock them out, just slow the vehicles down and then set off like an EMP or something of that type, like an EMP IED that would knock out the guns, the wireless, everything. So essentially they can't even fight us. They're just going to be sitting there with their dicks in their hands if it goes according to plan, and then we just point guns at them and be like, give us him. I mean, there's different ways we could hit this. It's all on you guys. And I can rig up whatever you need. I got the skills, but do we want to go in super killy and bloody, or do we want to go in quiet and hope for no body counts?
At that point, Pseudo pings a message to all of you, and it's literally just a moment's worth of searching on the Matrix with dozens and dozens and dozens of pictures of Shadowrunners who have gotten geeked in the most bloody of ways because they've been cop killers.
Yeah,
and that
you
is
get
his
through
response.
several articles. There, in fact, was a Shadowrunner, a would-be Shadowrunner, more sort of a gang who led to a Shadowrun just a few weeks ago, who was a cop killer, killed a cop on a pretty meaningless run, just trying to steal a cop car, effectively. And they brought in an attack helicopter and just geeked the car.
Okay. I'm in agreement then. After seeing that, I definitely think we should not make enemies. Lone Star is pretty powerful. I think it'll make a gesture if we just take... I mean, as far as gestures go, we're still committing a crime. But if there are no dead cops at the end of it, maybe they let it slide. They don't know who they have. So technically, it's kind of like us robbing the drunk tank if we keep it body-free. I mean...
Gel rounds, aim for the ankles. Do what you got to do. Just take them down. I can maybe handle their guns. I can probably
which
brick a
location do we
couple of their
prefer?
weapons. But the location I'm leaving to you guys.
Okay.
Well, what are the chances that Pseudo would manage to make your EMP IED screw with our stuff too?
That was kind of what I wanted to talk about as well. We would have to get some pretty specialized stuff going on to where he said it was, how far away was the path where we were going to be parking around the hill? Like 400 meters, or what did you say it was? 300 meters?
Basically, the overpass of the footbridge has about a 400-meter view down the highway, and about 450 meters away from that bridge is the track that leads off. 100 meters from that is the track that leads off and goes below into farmland. So it's only got about a 400-meter view.
Okay.
Bear in mind, you have to count in travel time. So if you see them at 400 meters, you have to, every few seconds you delay, they will be traveling at, 60 miles an hour. Actually, no, they'll be traveling a lot faster because they'll be using grid guides. So they'll be traveling at about 100 and something miles an hour.
Okay. So we could use a small grade EMP that would only hit like 50 meters that would knock out everything electronic, since everything's wireless, even the guns and whatnot. That should help out with that at the bare minimum.
You would know that
At this
EMPs
point,
are very hard to make artificially. Something that the military are still looking into in this day and age. It's probably a little bit beyond your reach as a Shadowrunner. You can come up with some really janky wireless kind of stuff, but the EMPs are a little bit more difficult.
Pseudo would chime in at this point anyway and say, if we knock out the wireless, that isn't going to stop the guns from being able to shoot. It'll just stop them from being able to use their smart links. It'll stop them from being able to eject the mags. It'll probably mess with the ride if they've got a rigger using it remote controlled, but I don't know if he'd be doing that instead of with his hands on the wheel. Honestly, it's probably better if they stay wireless, because whilst they're wireless, I can brick them.
What
So
sort
what
of
plan
traffic
do we
would
have?
we be looking at on the motorway? Like, would it be free moving?
Pardon?
Or would it be congested? What sort of traffic are we looking at on the motorway?
You're looking at
would it be free moving, or would
they're
it be
moving
congested?
at 3 a.m., so they'll be traveling between 3 a.m. and about 4:30. So it's going to be pretty empty. There will be maybe some civilian cars around, people particularly trying to get into work early or taking certain shifts, but not much.
So does anybody have any plans for this aside from, I really don't want to, I respect your skills, buddy, but can you really brick that many weapons? Because we know they have escort cars, and we're going to need...
But I wouldn't be the only one doing the bricking.
So what plan do you have in mind there?
I can bring my sprites along. They're much better at bricking than I am. But
The main thing we're
you're
looking
right
for
to
is,
say, the main thing... go ahead, Keeper.
can we stop this van reliably? Because I don't want to be like going in all guns blazing on the motorway and then the van just getting away, and then us having to post chase.
Didn't you mention something about tire spikes? That sounds like a good plan.
Yeah, I was going to start with tire spikes like as a backup plan, though. I was hoping, if we could stop the vehicle in some way that doesn't cause them to swerve into a wall and possibly kill our guy, that'd be great. They're going to be moving like 150 miles an hour, 100 miles an hour. Spike strips at 100 miles an hour are going to turn everybody into hamburger when they hit those things. It's going to be nasty.
They're probably going to be wireless, but odds are...
Do we want to risk it on a probably, or do we want to just take the extra
Yeah.
resistance and sort them out when they actually get to somewhere we can stop them, like via traffic lights or something?
I don't know. We could...
Alternatively, we could
try
wait
and
till...
create a roadblock.
We could wait till they get in the city in their own territory, and then I have explosives. We could light off controlled explosions in random locations to create chaos, and hopefully the calls will go in, and maybe they'll pull off some of the escort to lighten it up, and then we spike strip. And there's a lot of options here that we can run through. We're not necessarily confined to orbital. We could do it in the city too, and use the fact that they have a presence there to our advantage. They have a contract to uphold, and so if there's explosions and things going off in their territory, they have to respond. Otherwise, that contract's not going to get renewed.
That might be a good idea to do anyway. If we can find some abandoned buildings, I'm not too keen on just randomly setting off explosions in population centers, but
Yeah.
if we can find a couple of places which will draw attention in the city and do that anyway, then it's going to dull their response to anything coming out to respond to this van being stopped. But I think we should probably try and stop it further away from where their reinforcements are going to be.
Yeah, I'd like to stop it like in orbital where they've got we were going to have a a backup car. Like we've already been told that Johnson told us that they're going to have a backup if they get into orbital, if they get into London proper. But I think it's a lot better for us to try and stop them there than try to stop them on the motorway, because it'll be a lot easier. I mean, we can have pseudo hack the traffic lights, get them to stop, and then try and do something just to cancel out their comms so that they can't call reinforcements, rather than spend a lot of new yen blowing up stuff to try and create distractions.
I was trying to have fun. No, I think that's a smart. I thought they had like escorts with them. I didn't realize the escorts were only joining once we got to London. I always overlook details. So if it's just the van that we're jacking, that's easy peasy.
Well, it's just
That's
a
not
van
bad
and
at all.
a single escort car.
It's a single escort.
Yeah.
Memory check. Escort
Well,
car?
sure. You noted that it was in some of the documentation, so you don't need a memory check and just call it up. He did say that because it's been flagged as gang related, there will at least be one additional escort car. So there will be a prison
At
van
least
and at
one.
least one car additional because of that.
Yeah, but they don't know who the guy really is, so I'm gonna assume that it's gonna be one escort car. I don't know if we want to assume a bit more, but yeah, I'm
Should
gonna
I
assume
get the
there's gonna be
spike
one
strips?
escort car that joins.
You guys want me to get the tire spikes while we sort all the rest of it out, just in case?
Yeah, I think
think,
that would be a
like,
good idea.
yeah.
It's the only thing that I've heard that I think is a reasonable plan for stopping the thing.
I think the
Unless,
best plan
Pug,
to
do you want to chime in? Have you got any plans?
Well, if there's a light nearby that you can hack and make sure that they do stop there. I mean, there's nothing suspicious of a red light. Then if we put the spike strips soon after the red light, they won't be going fast enough to kill anyone yet, hopefully.
Well, the thing is, what we can do is we can stop them at the light, drop the spikes, and then try to disable them. And then if we don't disable them, then we can hit them with the spikes anyway. I just don't want to risk like
Yeah, the spikes will
the
be down
car
the road a bit.
swerving, or I don't
Yeah,
want to
just as
risk
a backup.
the car going into a tree and killing our mark.
What's to stop them from backing up when they see us?
I don't think they'll back up.
No?
They'll try and gun it. I don't think they'll expect that we've got a trap laid for them.
How hard would it be, pseudo, to shut down the engine on a car and then wirelessly lock the cops inside of it?
You remember last time you tried this, right?
Yeah, I know.
That's why we've got backups.
We've got planning time right now, though, so I can ask him what'll happen, and then we can veto it right here instead of doing it on the fly like we did last time.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same as you shooting at the car. Can you guarantee you're going to hit it?
The grenade launcher I did pretty good.
You did. You didn't hit the car though. You shot behind it. It's just it was an explosive shell.
No, he hit
No,
the
he
van.
hit the
actually got
minibus.
it.
Like,
Oh,
on.
he
yeah.
Well, I thought it went through the window and like
It
killed
went through the
everybody
window.
inside, and
That's
Yeah.
right. Good point.
I had
good
the
point.
chunky
You didn't
salsa
actually hit the
effect.
car trying to get away though. You just geeked the guys who were shooting at you. But all I can do is I can try. I mean, there's various ways that I could try and stop the car. I could do all sorts of things. But the thing is, there's going to be a driver inside.
Yeah.
And all he needs to do is shut down the wireless, and I'm locked out.
Can we get this drive? Can we find any information about who they're going to be using for driving this run?
I doubt it.
How would you like to find
Do
out?
we have anybody with a connection like that, though? We would have to have somebody inside Lone Star to get that.
Yeah, or you're going to
Scheduling.
have to try and hack into Lone Star, which is just not going to happen.
Well, we're going to have to distract the driver so he doesn't turn off the wireless.
Anything that I can do is going to be best done at the start, because the moment they realize something's going down, they're probably going to react to it.
Can we force the wireless to stay on by hacking it and just make it unresponsive to their commands so it just like stays up and running?
No.
I
mean, direct control supersedes remote control. There'll be a driver in there. He just needs to turn it off. He just
Okay.
needs to flick the switch, and that's it. The best thing I can suggest is maybe I could get the car to think it's been in a collision and deploy the airbags.
That might work.
That's about the only thing. I mean,
That would stop him
that
from pressing
might-
buttons.
It shut them the
It-
fuck up too by knocking them out. That wouldn't be too terrible. They'd have to take they take a pretty serious amount of damage. Those airbags come out hard.
The other thing is that it would probably cushion the blow from any crash that might happen afterwards. But again, like I said, it's the same as shooting a gun. I can't guarantee the bullet's going to hit.
Well, that's why we
That's
need
the-
the backup plan.
Yeah.
I still think it's the best option we have.
Yeah,
Airbag sounds like
try and stop
a good
them.
plan.
Try and stop them at a set of traffic lights. We'll get a spike strip down, and then we'll just wing it from there as usual.
Yeah,
Shit
like, what if
never
we-
goes according to plan.
If you want to
We
try and stop them
airbag
at
the
traffic lights, you will
escort.
need to stop them on the green road leading in. It has been renovated in the last 20 years to include some traffic calming measures because gangers were getting a little bit out of control. There didn't used to be any traffic calming measures on it, but there are now a couple of places where they've kind of slowed it down a little bit. So there are a few places where you could hit them. But bear in mind, they
So
will
let's
have
say
the
they
extra
stop at-
escorts around there.
Okay.
So it's
So when they
do you
stop
want
at the
to-
light.
Hmm.
Go ahead,
I mean,
GM.
do you want to hit them on the ring road, or do you want to hit them on the inner road?
What does everybody think?
I'm going for the inner road. I think it's going to be easier to try and stop them without murdering everyone.
You're talking about the place where there's less vision around the hill.
On the ring road itself, there's a lot more vision than there is on the road going in. The road going in through Orbital South is a little bit more constrained.
I think that's better then. Word going in.
Okay.
All right. Well, I can see what I can dig up. I'll poke around in the matrix, see if I can scout out the hosts in the grid that the traffic lights are going to be a part of. See what kind of
If we-
defenses are there.
I was going to say, if we choose somewhere to set up, will you be able to get ready? Like, will you be able to get marks on the traffic lights, etc., before we even need them?
The problem is if I fail that, then we're going to have more attention coming over there. But I can try. I can try ahead of time.
Well, at least that way we know what to go
Yeah.
with. Yeah.
Okay, so you've settled on getting them when they go into Orbital South proper.
Yeah.
Okay, did you want to...
If we do it this way, it's probably going to be better for me to be away from this, somewhere where I'm relatively undisturbed. None of you need to babysit me while I'm doing it.
bear in mind, you'll get a
So,
noise
stay
rating
in
from
the
being
house.
further away from the target.
Oh, I know. He's not suggesting he be like kilometers away. He's just basically saying he shouldn't be right up there watching the car going through.
Yeah, okay.
Be in the van.
So, did you want to buy any special gear? I know someone mentioned spike strips.
Yeah, I needed to call Lil Raj and get that stuff, and we'll get the spike strips. But let's get a sequence of events real fast. So they stop at the light. Pseudo blows the airbags on the escort car or on the van. Who do we knock out? I would say the escort car because the van's probably gonna have one guy in it. We can just gel around the shit out of him. But thoughts, anybody? Which car do we deploy the airbags on? Would it be possible to do both, or is that just too much?
Maybe.
I would
I mean,
call.
if I go hot sim, then I might be able to do it, but it would take them time to stop, realize, get out of the car, unbuckle. I might be able to catch them as they're fumbling around trying to get out.
Okay. So the light goes red. They stop. We blow airbags, one or two vehicles. And then from there, we just improvise.
I'm going to say this, though. If they are planning for this and they've got some decent gear there, then I'll be going all in just to do this. I might be out for the rest of the fight.
How hard would it be to get Elf Boy to set up a sniper rifle and take out some tires if the airbags don't work?
Or just the engine block.
That's my thing. Well, I've got my EBR, but I don't think that'll get through the engine block. I'm going to need something more powerful. We're going to need to try and buy
It
something more
depends how
powerful.
armored the
if we want.
engine block is. Like a normal commercial car, you could put a sniper round through that. If you're talking something a little bit bigger, or something that's maybe even got some slight variant of armor, it might do, but you'd probably want something bigger to be able to guarantee it. Now, by the way, if you do hit the engine block, if you hit it in exactly the right place, you can just stop the engine. The car will still go and just slowly lose momentum. If you hit the right place, of course. Because someone mentioned earlier that there might be dangers with shooting particular parts of the car. The engine block, if you get the shot exactly right, you can just let the car continue. They'll have control, it will just run out of momentum.
Mm-hmm. I mean, like, I'm definitely up for it. That's what I was planning to do anyways, just set up the sniper rifle on a hill.
Well, if you're... At this point, like, Pseudo seems cautious about this, and yeah, I imagine they're all kind of around some sort of planning table discussing this. And up to now, Pseudo's mostly, been replying in like half words here and there, but mostly text. But at this point, he like looks at them and said, "If you guarantee you're not going to be going for any kill shots, then I can edge the dice in your favor with that shot."
Yep. I'm definitely not going to be going for any kill shots with us. Like we says, we don't want to bring the heat of Lone Star down our heads, and a Scottish elf in a white suit's pretty obvious hit for them to follow up.
Yeah, Pug, you got to line up on gel rounds.
Tell every dog and its master your name, you idiot.
Yep, everything under the sun. You're looking for a pistol, looking for...
Okay, as long as you got that stuff all set up. I don't have any gel rounds, so I would just have to borrow them from you.
Plenty.
Cool. Well, if we're good there, so that's the plan then. We wirelessly hack the light. It slows the vehicles down. We deploy an airbag. And then from there, hopefully the airbags will knock out the escort car drivers with, out of character stun damage, but in character, hopefully it'll incapacitate the guards. That'll leave us with one guy to deal with in the van. We pull him out of the back, and then we whip out the van, and we're good to go.
Yep, I'll just be taking pot shots from far away.
Okay.
Sounds good.
If you could suppress the guy and keep him in the cab, that'd work too. Shit, I don't know.
Yep.
You have to scare him, ain't got to kill him. So that's the plan, everybody.
That's the plan.
All right.
That's the plan.
Done.
So say we all.
Okay, so we'll do quickly the buying stuff, and then we'll be ready to run, which means we can go to a break, and we'll back off the run. Those of you who have just tuned in, or have tuned in the last hour or so, when we come back off the break, I'll briefly explain what's happened up until now, so you're aware what is going to happen. Right, you wanted to go and buy some stuff, didn't you?
Yeah, I was going to get the spike strips as a backup plan from Lil Raj's Chop Shop.
Okay. So you call it Little Raj?
Actually, I'll just text him. This is probably going to be like 80 new yen or something ridiculous, and I don't want to waste his time too much. I'll just send him a message being like, hey, man, I need, 4 sets of spike strips that'll cover a road however wide the M25 is. I've never been out there, so I want to make sure it'll cover at least one lane going the direction we need.
Okay.
When can I pick them up, basically?
Basically, he sends you a quick message back saying you can get for 800 Noyen, you can get an extendable, wirelessly extending spike strip that basically will go across however long you want. It will go along as far as 2 lanes. You can tell it to go to 3 lanes, but the spikes won't be as guaranteed to be able to get tires because they'll be a bit further apart. But that'll be 800 Noyen, and it just goes all across the road. We'll deploy it effectively in one complex action, so it'll take 3 seconds to deploy fully. Gets run over. Could possibly be reused depending on what hits it, and you can collapse it down, extend it whenever you want via wireless. It collapses down to something about yay big, so you could quite easily hide that side of a road. These cost 800 Noyen, mainly because they are very illegal. Not many people are allowed these. Even the police don't use spike strips as much as they used to because they have other ways of disabling cars these days, but they do still have
them. Are they wireless?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. I'd rather, let's go for quality over quantity. I was just going to get normal, just throw them out in the street types, and we were going to do it beforehand.
Oh, if you want,
but let's go for quality, especially if
you
we
want
can maybe
a cheap ass,
reuse it.
effectively a custom home jobby, barbed wire on a stick type thing. They are available. They're just not particularly as good, and won't take out reinforced tires as well, or at least guaranteed. Whereas one of these spike strips is designed for taking out tires.
Yeah, slot that cred stick. It's all good.
Okay.
I wire him the cash, the 800.
Do you want 1 or 2?
And
1.
then,
okay.
Just the 1, yeah.
Okay. You send me 800. Next day, you pick up this sort of box, yay big.
Cool. I take it back home. I wanted to test it, though. I want to make sure it's functioning before.
You take it out to the back garden, and you wirelessly tell it from your comlink to extend.
Not the gnome.
It comes very, very close to scraping that gnome. In fact, a tiny chink in part of the ceramic.
No!
This tiny little scratch.
Oh,
you wouldn't know if you weren't looking for it, but there is a tiny scratch there.
Oh, now the dwarf has to die.
I got my paint
Damn
kit.
it.
I gotta go over there and I gotta paint his little ears so nobody
Okay.
will find out.
You quickly
I
get
really wanted you to live, Blowback. Damn.
He gets the paintbrush from your toolkit in the back of the van, and you quickly touch it up. Pug will never know.
Yeah. Fucking gnomes, it'll be fine.
Pug, make a perception check.
What is that?
Is it a
Perception
default?
plus what?
Intuition.
Okay, so modifier is 1. You just do dice, perception plus intuition, no
Yeah.
modifier.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's no modifier on this one.
So why is it not asking me for dice numbers on the dice roll button?
You have to hit Shadowrun dice roll and just type in whatever your thing plus thing is. Your intuition plus perception.
Oh. So when it says modifier, it doesn't mean add to the end. That's the dice number.
Yeah, that's the extra dice you might get.
Gotcha. Oh, not good.
You glitch. In addition to one success.
This poor
He knocks the
gnome.
gnome over and breaks it worse right on the spot where I broke it. Yeah!
No. So one success. You see there's maybe like a mark or something. You're not sure. Like you could just be imagining it. But you also think you saw Caber in the area the previous day. You're not sure. Like someone might not have touched it. It could just be imagination. It could be an old scratch. It could have been, whatever. Like it might have been the bumper the other day. But you think you saw Caber there the other day. So if anyone did it, it was Caber.
Oh, God.
Oh, man.
So
What
for
a
those of you
day.
at home, we have something in Shadowrun called a glitch and a critical glitch. If you get ones equal to half your dice pool, you have a glitch. If you get ones equal to half your dice pool and you get no successes, you get no dice of 5 or more, that's called a critical glitch. Critical glitches are like really bad. Glitches are like something odd happens.
I love how it's
I'm
usually
nice
a
and free.
glitch
I'm good, man.
is bad for the person who rolled it, but not lethal. The critical glitch is usually bad for the person who rolled it and potentially very dangerous. But this glitch, honestly, it's just bad for Caber, really.
In our
Bad.
party,
Not bad.
in
for
our
Bug.
party, it doesn't matter who glitches or who critical glitches. It's normally bad for Caber.
Yeah.
Get used to it, really.
One time it got us ABBA, though, so that was pretty cool.
It did.
Yes.
It got his ABBA.
I've never murdered a room full of people to Mamma Mia before, so that was a new experience.
That was good times. We all have to thank Bit for that one.
All right.
Yep. Plan is set.
You
many
don't
days
get
have we
any
got
more
left
gear.
now?
You've got your ammo that you want because someone was mentioning gel rounds. You're happy? You've got gel rounds for each of your guns because you different type of gun,
I'm
different
going
type of
to-
ammo.
I'm going to
What
try
are you
and.
bringing?
I'm coming in with the assault rifle. I'm just going to load it with gel rounds, and
Very
so
softly?
hopefully,
All right.
yeah, I'm going to try and hit softly and knock them out if I can.
All right, that's convenient then. I'll just bring the same. That we can share the gel rounds then.
All right.
Okay, so you're loading up the clips of gel rounds. Sure.
Yep.
I'm going to have to buy some gel rounds before we start.
Okay. Let me.
Actually, I'm gonna. Yeah. Oh, I was going to ask Pug, but there's no fucking chance I'm getting any of his gel rounds.
You're
Just
lucky you're not
load your
hanging from the
fucking
ceiling
load your
fan.
hair gel inside a shell, man. You'll be good. It's just thick as hell, man.
Pomade. It's pomade, man.
It's pomade. So here's a question. How do you get pomade out of your hair? I used pomade one time for my mohawk, and it was in there for like a week, and I was like, well, that's just inconvenient.
Was it oil? I think it was oil based then.
Yeah, if it's
I don't know.
oil-based, it's hard to get out.
Use washing up liquid.
Yep.
Takes it right out.
Yeah.
And then just
break
make
the
sure you
grease.
use a hydrating agent afterwards, like a moisturizer.
Yeah.
See,
All right.
Right. So,
Okay.
Caber, who are you using to get like gel rounds? What contact?
Probably just phone up James. Not even phone him up. Just text him. There's no point phoning him up. It's just gel rounds.
Oop. Yeah, his gel rounds. He'll sell them to you normal market price, 25 for 10.
No problem. I'll just buy 100 gel rounds.
Sure. That'll be
Save
250.
some for later.
Sweet. Right. The plan is in motion. When we get back, we'll be going on the run itself. Just hope you will enjoy it so far. The setup is normally how things go in people's heads. The run is how it goes entirely differently.